Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hope Without Sight with your host, Sailor Cooper and
Tyler Evans.
That's right. My great co-host. He is my right-hand guy. Soon he's going to be one of my assistants, which is great. Yes, this is episode 28. Almost to 30 episodes. Awesome. Okay, and this episode title is going to be Attuned to Prosperity. Thanks to Angel Tussey, a media specialist who owns a Facebook group. I believe that's where I found this person. She is one of the best entrepreneurs out there. She knows how to live life with abundance and life with bliss, even though there have been challenges in her life. And overall, she just knows how to make you feel balanced and feel good and be in tuned and let you know what your purpose is. Please welcome my good friend, Judy Van Niekerk. Judy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And thank you for the opportunity to be here with you, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. So I read your bio and it's very compelling. You teach people how to live life with purpose. You are who you are because at the age of 15, you have a first of a number of extraordinary, transcendent, supernatural experiences. And I know, and indeed, you've overcome a lot of adversity, including some trauma in your childhood. And of course, you escaped out of that in your early 20s. But first, tell me more about those transcendent supernatural experiences. Like, describe it more to us.
It was a pivotal point in my life, that's for sure. And it put my life onto a trajectory that was completely and utterly unpredictable. So up until that point, I had been living tortured and abused since I was about 3 years old, locked up. And it was a horrendous experience living as a slave. And just, I felt like meat. And I was living just because my heart was beating. That was it. And after a particularly bad 10 hours of torture and abuse and hell, I recall walking into the bathroom, and this was in Dublin, Ireland. I recall it was about 7 in the morning. It was a November morning, so it was grey, and I think it was drizzling and dull. And I walked into the bathroom, and I walked over to the mirror, and I recall looking in the mirror and almost like for the first time actually seeing myself. Now I know, I'm sure I saw myself plenty before that, but it was the first time I actually recall actually seeing myself. And I was looking in the mirror, but not looking at my physical face, the reflection, which was bruised and bloodied, and I had an old, thin, torn, threadbare, pale blue nightie on, but seeing beyond all of that. And I was looking into my eyes, and as I looked deeper into my eyes, it was almost like my arm was reaching down through my eyes, and it clutched something in my solar plexus. And for many years after that, I called that my something. I knew it was something. I didn't have the language, or at that time I had been locked up. I was uneducated, unsocialized. So I called it my something. And I grabbed it. I felt like I was transcended out of my body. And next thing I was outside, literally outside with the enormous trees and the birds. And I remember this sensation of feeling oneness with everything. I was like, there was no separation, feeling one with the trees, one with the rain, one with the birds, one with grass. I could hear grass cutting in the distance, and I smelt it, and I was one with the smell, one with everything. And the next thing I felt was a sensation that was so extraordinary, so powerful, so all-consuming. The best way I could ever relay that in words is that it felt like 1,000 cashmere blankets being wrapped around me. It was so deep and profound. I don't know what it was until it dawned on me that this was love. And not any ordinary love, but the most exquisite, extraordinary, divine love. And I was wrapped in this, wrapped up and completely enveloped in this feeling of love.
Wow. And so growing up, what I'm getting is, I mean, you provide a lot of details. Growing up, since you were just locked up and tortured and enslaved, you never even knew what love was. You didn't know who you were as yourself. You didn't know what the world was. And at age 17 or whenever you said it, you finally realized it yourself.
Yeah. And then at that moment, as I realized what it was, I remember looking up and seeing myself standing in front of the mirror. And the feeling I got in that moment as I saw myself was healing. I was healed from everything, for everything that had happened, everything that was happening, everything that was to happen still. It was a complete multi-dimensional healing in that moment, where not in the linear perspective of time, but in the eternal quantum perspective of time, I was healed.
So you were healed spiritually, naturally, just the spirit.
Emotionally and spiritually. When you're spiritually, you're never unhealed. Spiritually, you're always whole.
You're always whole, yeah. But emotionally, I guess the spirit from above healed you.
The divine
yeah.
in me and source healed. I healed through that experience. And in that moment, what life is and the truth about life, and that we are eternal beings. And we are from the universe. We are one with everything. And I could see the infinite possibilities that existed and how my life could pan out. And it was almost like I planted 3 seeds in that moment of love, prosperity. At the time, I called it luxury because I didn't have the word prosperity, but what I call now prosperity, and adventure. They were like the 3 seeds that I planted. That was of all the infinite possibilities that I could have in my life, that was what I chose in that moment. And when I came back into my body, I remembered 2 things as I walked out of the bathroom. The first thing was this having this something, holding this something, which I later can now articulate as my soul, my higher self, my true being, my infinite being self. I was holding on to this, and I remember walking out the bathroom thinking that you can hurt my mortal body, you can do whatever you like to this body, but nothing and no one could ever touch my soul, my something. And that was my guiding. That was my guide. That was my go-to. That was my connection from there on. And that was extraordinary, because in that moment, I went from feeling like dead meat to feeling like someone. And the other thing that I thought as I walked out of the bathroom, which is unusual considering the context of the deeply spiritual experience I just had, was that as I walked out, I knew that I would escape. I had no doubt about that whatsoever.
Wow.
I didn't care about the timing, because I had just had this transcendental experience that I understood in that moment, although I would not have been able to articulate it, but I understood in that moment that the truth about time is not linear. So I wasn't concerned about when I would escape. I just knew I would escape. I also knew that when I escaped, I would live a life of love, prosperity, and adventure. And I knew that I would get a job. Bearing in mind, I'm uneducated. I didn't know I could hardly read or write. I would get a job in merchant banking, stockbroking, oil and gas trading, and there was something, shipping. I had no idea what any of them was. I didn't know what a merchant banking was. I didn't know what stockbroking was. I didn't know what does it mean, oil and gas. I mean, all I knew about oil was it's in the radiators to give us heat. That's all I knew.
Of
And
course,
shipping,
because you were not
right.
exposed to the world.
No, I had no idea. But yet they were the things that I knew would work in. And I experienced, no matter what was going on in my environment and the outside world, I was so connected to my something that I was living a life of joy and bliss.
Wow. I mean, because you're making me kind of cry now, because like everybody has been through hard times. I mean, life on earth is not always blissful, but you know in heaven it is. And regardless,
yes.
you prove that regardless of anybody's circumstances, you can pull out, because I mean, I've certainly been through hard times, but in my family has this too. I know Tyler, you have too, but certainly not as hard as you have. And you know, we can all choose our own destiny.
That's right. So, what, were you raised in a particular faith or anything like that?
No,
You
not
weren't?
really.
Okay.
No.
So basically, what you experienced was just out of the blue. It just happened because it was supernatural for you.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
It was, and it's interesting because somebody mentioned recently on a post, and I commented on it, and it was when I got really clear about this, is that we can all have those experiences. We all have the capacity of having those experiences. And for me, this is how I see it having happened. We can, through our connection to the divine within, to source, we can experience the most profound mystical experiences. But it's about disentangling ourselves to all the distractions and the addictions that we have and the codependencies we have in this three-dimensional paradigm world that we live in. When we disentangle from that and step into our authentic true self and be in that place and surrender to the unknown, we will experience amazing experiences. The extent to which you do that will reflect the extent of the mystical experience you have. For me, in that moment, now, as you can imagine, I wasn't socialized. I didn't have all of the things going on. I was alone most of the time for all those years. So for me, there wasn't a lot to detach from. All I had torture and nothing else, and I was worn down. And I completely had surrendered, completely. And I was so connected to source without realizing it, that I had that profound experience.
Wow.
So surrendered and so much in the glorious present moment.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, what caused you to be like in that type of, you know, just terrible upbringing? And, you know, secondly, did you ever thought about just giving up and just calling it quits, especially since you didn't know where to turn?
I tried to escape many times. Trust me, I tried to escape many times, but I couldn't. So
you were born into slavery, basically.
Sorry?
You were born into slavery, right?
It was from when I was about 3 years old or so.
Okay, so you were put into slavery at 3. Okay.
Took another 6 years after that experience for me to escape.
Yeah.
But during that 6 years, there was still torture going on, still abuse and all that sort of stuff. So, but during those 6 years, I continued to experience the torture, but I was so connected to my something that it could not break me. It could not bring me down. It could not make me feel anything but bliss and joy and happiness. So one of the ways in which humanity has been conditioned is we are conditioned to experience happiness conditionally on what is going on in our environment, which is transient, which is completely dependent on things that happen outside of us. We have no control. But when you take back control and you're in your sovereignty, when you lose the addiction and the attachments to all of the things that are outside of us, and we step into our autonomous sovereignty, we find joy and bliss for just being who we are through our infinite being. And nothing in our environment can shift that or change that or influence that.
In other words, you're talking about joy, not happiness, because happiness is based on circumstance. It's based on, oh, if it's good, it's happy. But joy is where it doesn't matter the circumstance. You can still experience peace, even in the bad circumstances.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe as a Christian. That's what I believe. That joy is not circumstantial. It's not based on circumstances. It's based on the fact that we have someone that we can rely on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe it's Jesus, but.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
We can call it many different things, but it's all the same thing.
Right.
It's eternal love. It's truth. It's authentic. It's real.
In other words, you're
truth.
saying to us, we're eternal beings.
Yeah.
Just what you said. And and I believe that too. I believe everyone's going to face eternity somewhere. That's what I believe.
So, and we're just on this earth temporarily. And,
Yep.
When times get tough, we just have to focus, like you said, on our inner spirit to help guide us.
Right. In other words, focus on good, like true love, not conditional love, basically.
Which is based on situations, which is so ephemeral. But that is where we also get to create miracles, right? Well, we call them miracles in this 3D world that we live in. But when we're in our infinite being, when we're in the authentic true self of who we are, they're like normal. They're not miracles. They're just normal, right? But in the 3D world, we call them miracles. And I have experienced that over and over again. Because when I had that idea, that knowing, not idea, as I walked out the bathroom about what I was going to do when I escaped, I was able to prepare on some levels in the interim. And in the interim, I tried to escape a couple of times. And eventually when I did, I escaped in the middle of the night and I had to leave the country. So I found myself then in London, right? I had got my hands on money. It was a Friday night. Again, it was in November. It was raining. It was miserable. And I will never forget that flight over to Ireland. We flew what felt so close to the full moon. And I landed and I knew no one. I had nothing. I had like an old tattered bag of old tattered clothes, a copy of Wuthering Heights, being a romantic, and a painting I had done of my cat. That was all I had to my name.
So you escaped from London to Ireland, right?
Dublin to London.
Dublin to, okay.
So within a week, I had 2 job offers. One as a trading accountant on an oil and gas trading floor. And the other one was a position, I can't remember what it was, in a shipping company. Obviously, I took the job as a trading accountant on an oil and gas trading floor, earning almost 6 figures. And this was back in the early 90s.
And I'm sure you had no idea how to do that job because you didn't even know what an accountant was at the time, right?
True, absolutely. I had no idea how to turn on the computer.
So how did you adapt since you didn't know the world? How did you?
Because what I know now, what I learned from that experience that I had when I was about 15 is that we are all knowing. We are one with the universe. So there's three foundational concepts that form the foundation of my understanding of life as humans. Is one, we are one with the universe. We are one with it all. We are one with divine. And as such, we have knowledge, we have an all-knowing, we have access to all the information that ever existed on this planet and beyond. So we can download any information we want, very much like Trinity in the Matrix, right? We can do that. We have the ability to download information and to have a knowing. And when you're guided by that knowing, you will never be misguided. And that's how I knew. Because that's all I knew. I didn't know about living in the ego. I didn't know about living according to the perceptions, the judgments, the what's right and what's wrong, and all those things that we have within the construct of this 3D matrix. I didn't know any of that, and I didn't have any of the typical beliefs that children and young people and young adults get when they are going to school, when they're mixing with children and they got teachers and other guardians and parents and all these sort of things. I didn't have any of that. So all I knew was how to access infinite knowledge. And that's what I did. And I've taken that a step further. And the other thing that I've learned, how I navigated challenges, because inevitably there were challenges. And every time that I experienced a challenge, my go-to was not about putting myself down or looking outside of me. It was about reconnecting back to source, back to the divine within, back to my higher self. And the solutions were always there. And this is what I say to people. We are conditioned when things are hard, or with our beliefs that life is hard, or you've got to work hard for money and all these things. People then start to look more outside of them, more outside of them, and distance themselves more and more and more, creating more separation. And that is the source of all suffering in our society.
Wait, can you repeat that again? Because I want to make sure that I understand that clearly. The separation of what causes...
When things are hard, or when we experience a challenge, or we experience an obstacle, or when there's a curveball thrown in our way in life, what we do is rather than taking that as feedback from our higher self, our soul, the divine, whoever it is, Mother Nature, universe, whoever it is that we connect to, rather than taking that as feedback that we are wise to now come back home to ourselves, reconnect to our authentic self, and our as humanity, to work hard, look more outside of ourselves, is to work, try harder, go faster, change strategy, change jobs, change relationship, change our house, change our car, whatever it is. We're always addicted to looking outside of ourselves, which is distancing ourselves ever further and further and further and further away from our divinity, from our authentic self, from our source, from Christ, from God, however you want to call it. That's what, and
Makes
that
sense.
is the source of all human suffering.
You should always look on the inside of yourself and know who you are to follow your path.
Mm.
Right. Well, I also believe human suffering is also the result of, sin, because of what we've done too. Because there's times where we do things wrong and we have to suffer consequences for that too. So sometimes suffering becomes our own fault, but other times it's not our own fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think no matter what, and if when we sin, so to speak, and I do, Tyler, completely understand and understand what you're saying, but when we sin, again, that is evidence that we are separate from ourselves, because our higher self, our divinity within, will only ever be aware of what is for our highest good, and all highest good,
Right.
highest good of all. So when we do something that is sin in society, if we can take that as feedback that we are separate from ourselves and take that journey back to ourselves, then there won't be a drive for that. There won't be those things happening. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
But conversely, though, is the other side of the story. If somebody does something to you, is how you navigate that. No,
Right.
right. So for example, how you navigate that is if somebody's wronged you and it goes against the physical laws of society, it is appropriate to do something about that.
It
right?
is. Yeah.
So if somebody breaks into your house and steals your TV, you report it to the cops, right?
Oh,
But-
yeah,
Of course.
sure.
But there's a spiritual way of addressing that as well. There's a soul way of addressing that as well. So you can choose in that moment to be a victim to it, or you can rise above it and see the experience. What does that mean? Where's the love in that experience? How does this evolve me? How does this take me to higher dimensions of my being?
There you go.
There
I
you
like
go.
that. I like that. Because you say in your bio, what I can offer your listeners, when you understand the alchemy and actionable tips on attuning to prosperity and of time, energy, and emotions, it opens the energetic frequency of their heart. It becomes clear why some of your soul desires in the past was written the way it was, understanding the blocks holding you back, the successes in relationships, divinity. You learn and desire to collapse time between cause and effect to create miracles in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is the one thing that is my number one, and that is love. Everything is love.
Yeah.
Everything is love. Anything that is not love, I work to loving it. And I think this is part of what opens the portal, our heart portal, which is the gateway to our higher self, the gateway to the divine, is through our heart. And if our heart is closed down or carrying anything that is not love, it will block that portal. So we are wise to look at things in our life that we can't love and look at ways in which we can love it, transmute it to love, alchemize it to love. And you will experience more and more expansion of your heart, more love in your life, more greatness, more opportunities, more synchronicities. And that's where your life starts to become in flow, become inner peace. And as Tyler was saying, joy. And
Mm-hmm.
what else is there in life but that?
Yeah,
All
because
right.
God gave us 3 things: faith, hope, and love. And of course, in the Bible, I'm being preachy now, Tyler. Yeah, look who's talking. The Bible says the greatest of all is love.
That's right. And there's even a song that was written by Alan Jackson whenever he talked about 9/11, and he said the same line in the main chorus of it.
Mm.
It's really cool. It was "Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning" is the name of that song.
I don't know.
And,
Let's look it up. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's a country singer, and he talked about 9/11. Like, where were you that day? You know, whenever 9/11 occurred.
September 11th, yeah.
Yep.
And your bio says you're meant to have it all. You're here to live an extraordinary life of legacy, impact, and mastery, and be the most extraordinary version of yourself. I can't agree more with that statement.
That's right.
Yeah, we are. We are here to be the individualized physical manifestation of the universe. We're meant to have it all.
Yeah.
We are here to have it all. We are our soul's projection having a 3D experience.
That's right. And sorry to give you
Yeah.
some tech feedback. Your Zoom is cutting in and out here and now a little
I know.
bit.
I saw that. I'm really sorry, Sarah. I don't know why that is happening. Normally it is crystal clear.
It's maybe it can be the internet. I don't know. I mean, we all have them, but yeah, but yeah, over the past 20 years, you've built and sold multi-million-dollar businesses in many categories, including starting the first ever online coaching business in 2000. You've also studied and researched human potential and been on a journey on ascension and conscious awareness for the past 20 years. It's been my understanding of human behavior and spirituality that has not only allowed me to create massive successful pioneer businesses, but overcome the extraordinary challenges of being locked up and abused throughout my childhood. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm reading it kind of strange, because I use a screen reader. That's how I'm reading it, because I'm blind. And what your assistant sent you, it does have quite a bit of graphics, so it might be reading it kind of funny, but I'm doing my best. So
I think you're doing extraordinarily well. I think it's exquisite. What you did is perfect. What you said is
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah. It is exactly what it says. So yes.
Yeah, and I see here you have 3 key messages. There is no moral challenge you are not greater than having a vision. Feel your miracle code is where you create. Oh my God, I like this, Judy, because Tyler, let's share our story. Ready? He and I almost have the same story, except we're brothers from another mother.
That's right.
We were born 2 years apart, 3 months premature, and we're not expected to survive. And here we are miracles, and we are crushing challenges and living life full of abundance. Right?
That's
Tyler?
right. That's right.
That's amazing. That is so good. That is so freaking awesome, isn't it?
It really is. Life, I'm telling you, life is just amazing. It really is. The fact that we can get up every day is a miracle. Every second's a miracle.
Yeah.
It really is. So
experience the heat of our skin, the wind on our face,
that's
the
right.
smell of the sea. You know, it's extraordinary.
That's
So,
right.
Judy, fast forward to the present now. I've read about your past 20 years. What are you doing now in Playa del Carmen? What projects are you working on now, and what are your future goals?
So now I'm finishing off my PhD, which is all about how we are anatomically designed to create miracles. It's not a mystical thing. We are anatomically designed for miracles. I'm doing that, and I I've got various masterminds that I work with people as a conduit for them to connect in with their inner divine, with their high infinite being, with their higher self. That's what I do, because I truly believe every man, woman, and child deserves love, to be loved, to feel love, and to express love.
I can't agree more. Yeah, and I don't like the emotions of, anger and all that. It's not healthy. I mean, especially whenever you get in those environments, you have to know when to get yourself out.
Yeah, absolutely. We do not have to entangle with them. We do not have to stay with them. We do not have to own them. We do not have to engage. We have sovereign free will.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
There you go.
And so have you ever been a speaker? Have you gotten on stages, paid speaking gigs? Have you done a TEDx or any of that?
Yeah, I've done a lot of talking before COVID. I did a lot in the States. I did a lot in Europe. And since then, I haven't gone back out there. I've not done a TED talk yet either. I think I should put it on my bucket list. Yeah. So I haven't actually. I have planned to get back into speaking on stages again this year.
And also, do you have any books you have written that you could share with us? Because I can indeed help you promote them as well.
That would be amazing. The only book I really have is, because one of my businesses is a trading business. I've got a forex trading business, which myself and my husband work on. I've got a book about trading, and that's all I've done so far. I will have other books, but your listeners are very welcome to do, I've created a free quiz to see how attuned to prosperity you are. Because in my research, what I have realized is that
Oh, I lost you there.
Sorry, I've got this free quiz that your listeners are welcome to do, which allows them to see how attuned to prosperity they are. Because depending on how entangled you are on the vibrations of anger or grief or resentment or shame or guilt, that has a direct impact on your ability to have prosperity in all areas of life, not just financially.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure.
So this quiz, it's like, I've been told, it's almost like as accurate as an astrology reading, and it will give you what is blocking you, what you could do as the next step to release yourself just that little bit more. And often it's just a tweak, one tweak. It could be just one shift, and it opens up so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I saw it in an email your assistant sent me, because I mean, of course, she booked the Calendly link, and I did put some questions in there, like, do you have affiliate programs or anything I could promote? And I think I saw the quiz in that email. Well, I'll definitely check it out for sure.
Cool.
And I can't agree with you more. You have to really just be in tune to what's going on around you to only go forward.
Yeah. The one thing that I've learned, and if I could leave your listeners with this, how I understand things, is that in our authentic being, in our authentic state of being, in our infinite being, we will only ever experience that which is for our highest good. And when it's for our highest good, it's for the highest good of all. Make no mistake about that, because it will never direct you to do something that's sinful or harmful in any way. It only is for the highest good of all. And when you're following that and you are feeling those feelings and emotions, so you're feeling joy, you're feeling happy, you're feeling grateful and all that. But then when something creeps in like sadness, like, it's okay, you can be happy, sad, you can be joyful, but have a moment of sadness. It's okay. It is okay. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. It's
No.
perfectly
Right.
normal. It's like the peaks and troughs of a frequency wave. And you will find if you sit with the sadness, it will go. It will flow away. But when we are sitting in fear, or we are experiencing stress or worry or anxiety, they don't fade away. They amplify.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are not ours. They are not ours. They are an energy we've taken on that has attached itself to our ego. Think about it like that. It's just
Yes.
attached to our ego. It's not our authentic self. It is not true. It's almost like it's an illusion. It's a lie. So in our sovereignty, in our free will, we can be aware when we are experiencing a guilt or a self-doubt, or putting ourselves down in some way, or shaming ourselves in some way. When we're aware of those thoughts, we have full sovereignty to say, go away, that's not mine, never was, not now, not ever, go away. We can dismiss it. It means nothing. We have the free will capacity to do that. We do not have to entangle with it.
No, we don't.
That's
No,
right.
we don't.
In other words, we don't want worry and anxiety to,
No.
shall we say, take control over us, or have the victory, so to speak.
So if I can just take it back quickly to that experience I had when I was about 15. When you are in your infinite being, you are always cared for, no matter what.
Right.
No matter what, you are always cared for. And in that moment, I was cared for with the divine in that moment of complete surrender. I had nothing left. I begged for my heart to stop beating every night I went to sleep. I had nothing left. But the divine source, God, whatever you want to call it, came through for me and gave me strength to move on.
And your
Good.
infinite being, you mean the spirit, your
Yes.
spiritual.
The spirit, the God within, Jesus Christ. We have so many ways of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
There you
Oh, how
go.
awesome. And but
Wow.
I wanna read a little more. What others have said about you, and of course we'll say it last. What others have said about your work. Let's see here. Judy is making a massive difference in the world today, bringing her heart and wisdom out into the world. As Albert Einstein said, exemplification is the world's greatest teacher. Judy exemplifies what is possible for all human beings. Oh, that is very true.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I've been, you know, I can relate to you because as I just started this entrepreneurship journey last year, I'm not gonna lie, I've been excited, but at the same time, uncertain because it's my very first time to do something this extraordinary. I've never ran a business before. And of course, I've been having a little bit of not so much business financial struggles, but personal financial struggles. Paying bills and stuff because, of course, business doesn't make money until you are making money in the startup phases are completed, which we're still in it right now. But at the same time, I've been focusing on a lot of spiritual healing as well to help me adapt. And Tyler, if you want to share your spiritual story, go ahead. I know what you want to talk about. Take it away, sir.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like Sailor, I wasn't expected to survive, but I did. I was 3 months premature, and my lungs actually collapsed because they were really small. Because I was super small. And I have a twin brother also, and we were both born blind, but his eyes reversed, whereas mine didn't. But I had surgeries by the same doctor that Sailor saw in Detroit, Michigan. And the fact that I'm living, I give God all the glory and the praise for that. That's what I give.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can at least see light and dark is also a praise that I give him. And the fact that I'm alive and doing well is also a praise. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of my short story in a nutshell.
That's pretty
So,
awesome,
yeah.
Tyler. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And your story is amazing as well, Judy.
It
really is.
Yeah. I mean, you've proven that anybody can reach their highest potential regardless of their circumstances. You just have to figure out what gifts you have and what abilities you have.
Mm-hmm.
What makes
That's
you?
right.
What brings you joy?
Yeah, what brings you joy?
That's right. Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Well, Tyler, if you have nothing else for Judy, which I don't believe I have, of course, Judy, if you want to ask questions, you can. But if not, do you want to do our customary ending?
Yes, we can. So,
But first, do you have anything? Does anybody have anything?
No, I'm complete.
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, what advice would you give to people who feel they don't have hope?
Hope is something that we have been conditioned to rely on. It is
Right.
You're giving your power away. When we step back into the truth of who we are, we realize that we are actually infinite. And you look back over your life, and you look at times when things appeared to be hopeless, but they weren't. There's no mortal challenge that we are not greater than. That's one of the mottos that I live by. And I have proven that. I've seen it in my work. I've seen it in my studies. There's no mortal challenge we can ever experience that we are not greater than. And if that's the case, then there's never no hope. There's always opportunity. There's always miracles. There's always opportunity waiting for us. We just need to step back into our authentic self and connect with the divine within.
There you go.
Oh, yes. I can't agree more. That's well said. We are
Thank you.
all gifted in our abilities. There's no, with that being said, there's no challenge we cannot overcome, or mountain we can't climb.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for
Oh.
being on our podcast today. We
Oh,
really
yeah.
appreciate it.
It's been
Very
an
much.
absolute honor, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been here. Thank you, Sailor. Thank you, Tyler. It's been
Thank you
You
so
are
much. And
welcome.
so, everybody give it up for Judy Van Niekerk and stay blessed.
Thank you.
We hope you feel renewed, inspired, and encouraged, like you can just carry on and conquer the world.
Please hit the subscribe button on all platforms and tell your friends and family to do the same.
Blessings to all.